Welcome
Welcome
to
to
Shade in
Shade
the
in the
City.
City.
I'm your girl, Treese.
It's Nels.
And today we are jumping into our review of episode 2 of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Okay, so we would like to welcome all our new viewers and welcome back, Shade Squad. If you have not already, please make sure that you hit the like button.
And the subscribe button.
And y'all, let's get into it because, Marlene done hit my nerve again, y'all. I try to leave the elders alone, but she done hit a nerve again. So let's get into it, y'all. Let's get shady. All right, so we are picking up where we left off from last episode at the dinner table with Dr. Francis, Marlo, and all of our married couples. Now, Tiffany is questioning what makes Dr. Francis think there's a disconnect in their marriage. He talks about how he wrote about games on the board that morning. And he says, the first level of the game. Now, remember last review, we was confused on what the hell Dr. Francis was talking about. But I got it, y'all. Like I ran that back 50 times, watched the captions. I got it. And I understand it now. I had to read it to get it. So the first level of the game is you playing the game. You know what I'm saying? It's like you putting the cartridge in, you blow it, you put it in. You know,
not the cartridge tree.
The cartridge. I'm telling my age.
Old school.
You get ready to go. But the second level is when your game is discovered. And then you go to a level of not playing the game. So everybody doesn't know what's going on.
You play a game of not playing the game. So you're trying to pretend like you're not playing the game.
There's a lot of games.
There's a lot of games being played.
Look, I ain't really here to play no
games. Apparently they are.
Okay. But he says once you own the game to be your reality, it's no longer a game, a false game, and you're gonna start acting it out. And however you act it out.
Basically, they don't even realize anymore. They've been playing the game for so long. They've been playing this game for so long of putting on this game that they don't even realize they're doing it anymore.
That was a word, Dr. Francis.
Yes, it was. Dr. Francis, let me tell you something. Look. That's right.
Lewis questions whether Dr. Francis thinks their marriage is, or whether he thinks it's real, or is it real? And Dr. Francis says, based off of what he saw that morning, he says it raises questions about the quality of their interpersonal relationship. I said, that was the nicest way to say you're married. Look like it's
like I'm feeling. You know what I'm feeling like over here right now?
Who?
Marcel,
right? Eating that shit. Can I just say, Shade Squad, we be on the fence, but if it's one thing Marcel is gonna give you, it's the comedic relief, and he came through this episode. Shout out to Marcel. It was awesome.
I'd have been over
outside of Dr. Francis, Marcel was my favorite person in this episode.
I'd have been like, oh, this is so good.
Right.
Look, I'm talking about the wine, y'all. I'm talking about the wine now.
Right. Now, Lewis feels some type of way that it hasn't even been 24 hours, and Dr. Francis is over here making assumptions about his marriage. So Tiffany says she doesn't respect Dr. Francis' opinion and questions his credentials and doesn't think his assumptions of who the Whitlows are is cool. And so then Dr. Francis just, ends the night and the dinner for everyone. But what I wanted to bring up, and I thought this was so funny. So Jaylee brought up, a shout out to Jaylee's Corner, how Tiffany and Louis always look like they're part of the church in their confessional. And she said Tiffany got on her Easter Sunday and they look like deacon and deaconess.
No.
If y'all don't follow Jaylee, she's funny. But I was like, they do. And but last season they looked like they were preacher and first lady. And this season because she got the, Easter Sunday with the boobs out, it's 2022. So, spirituality is a little bit different. So, now she's the deacon and deaconess. I said, oh, It's
Oh
definitely giving that. And Lewis in his big and tall suits. Go ahead, boy.
Marcel is up early making breakfast for the house. Shouts out to Marcel. And Lewis comes in. Marcel wants to know how he felt about the night before. Tiffany walks her little ass in. She says that she didn't realize she was signing up for a marriage retreat to be came at.
Mm.
Pew, pew. Yeah, they was shooting, boo. Marcel basically tells them that
judgmental.
You said what?
Maybe if she wasn't so damn judgmental.
And Marcel basically tells him like that's how it works. And then
what they say, a hit dog will holler. I'm just saying that's what it's getting right now, Tiffany.
Then in walks Tisha and asks how they think today is going to go. And Lewis says he's open to it and feels that, that they have to know, like you have to know your marriage before you can go into anything, and says, if you question your marriage and you go into things like this, it'll make you question everything. Boy, bye. And Lewis touches on how things came up about their marriage at the reunion. And he says that they haven't had a chance to, be in the room with everyone else, but he does want to apologize to them because yesterday made him understand where they had been coming from all this damn time.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone's speaking on your marriage and they really don't know you,
no license, you ain't got, you just
a philosopher. He's just a philosopher.
Right.
Tisha says that she appreciates it because marriage is really hard, and really you don't need like outside people, especially in your circle, making it harder.
Agreed.
So, of course, Marcel decides to take it a step further, and that's how they feel about being professionally diagnosed as fake.
I believe I have in my notes Tiffany told him to fuck off.
She said, well, I thought she said fuck that.
Oh, whatever.
Well, she said fuck.
It was along those lines.
It was fuck. She cursed. Okay. She wasn't acting very deaconess. Okay. Kimmy and Maurice walk in. Tisha notices that everybody has on their t-shirts, and apparently the Whitlows don't. Marcel thinks they ain't earned one. Do you think they really was t-shirts that you gotta earn? No, right? I don't think Dr. Francis would have been that petty.
They just wanted to be petty. That's what was so bad. Tiffany and Louis are the ones being petty. It's not Dr. Francis. He's like, I'm here to help you, and I'm just letting you know what I see. You can disagree all you want. You came to see me. I still got my check.
So Marcel asks if they're ready for day 2 with Dr. Francis, and Tiffany get real sick out the mouth and says, like, I mean, we here, we on time. He the one that's an hour late. So look, they like, oh, you and your feelings. Maurice said, what you saying to say? He ain't committed to the process. You really over there upset. Look, everybody picking on their ass. Lewis says that they're looking forward for growth today. He was sounding real sassy. That's all I know. So Kimmy says, when she was making a comment about her observation in regards to them not answering all the questions, she finds it weird because they like to give a lot of advice but don't want to hear it. Lewis says for someone to come and dissect me in 6 seconds and tell me my marriage is a game. She like, boo, ain't that what you did to Tisha and Marcel?
Right. So Lewis tries to say, him saying, I hear you, is him saying, basically, I understand what you're saying. And
they're basically saying, like, that's not the energy you was given.
Right.
It's not the same way as you sound right now.
Right. And Marcel says he thinks Lewis forgets that they're all adults and they know how to read what someone's tone is outside of their words. I said, okay, Marcel. Kimmy brings up how she felt that when she had a conversation with Tiffany about having more children, it went one way, and then they got at that table last night and it made it seem like something else. And I'm going to admit I had the same question because I was like, when did Lewis all of a sudden get on board about having a baby all of a sudden? Or are we again playing a game?
Playing a game.
So Tiffany says that's because that conversation was solely based on having more children, not bringing up past traumas. Tiffany doesn't think that Dr. Francis cares she wants to have another kid. And Maurice brings to her attention that Dr. Francis had her in tears. He also makes it a point that he brought things to the forefront that you weren't speaking on. I said,
and I do think it would have been.
They love it. They eating it up. Marcel says that instead of speaking up like they are now, it was more like they received as they didn't need his help.
Mm-hmm.
Kimmy points out Dr. Francis is a licensed professional, and Tiffany huffed and puffed at everything he said. Marcel thinks they don't respect Dr. Francis, and that's why they're not heeding his advice. And, basically Tiffany says that, she never thought being here would mean her being attacked. Here we go again with that word. She thought she was going to learn something. And she feels like it's them against the rest of everybody else. But they know they have each other's back. And Lewis says there is a difference between book smarts and wisdom. And I was like, here we go. Here we go. He says he's not book smart. He reads books, but he's not that guy. However, wisdom made him who he is. I said, if you ain't trying to act like you sound like Dr. Francis, but okay. So Kimmy probes, so you don't think he has any more leverage? I mean, I know you think you know something.
Uh-huh.
A licensed professional, a licensed counselor, you don't think that he might make some sense? Maurice says that the difference between the situation with Marcel and Lewis is Dr. Francis was coming at you, as I think I brought up before, from a professional perspective, whereas you came at Marcel just off the bull of the shit, just because that's how you felt, you and your wife. And he explains that, Dr. Francis' ability to discern is higher than yours based on the experience and training and everything else. So then Kimmy's like, if you care what we think and want us to not think that you're trying to blow this off, then your response needs to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Which now Lewis feels like, he's like, I can only be myself. And if I'm coming off in a way, and I don't want you to feel that way, Kimmy. And Kimmy's like, well, change your energy.
My thing is, but then he was like, just let me know. And she's letting you know right now.
He lets you know. Let me know. Let me know.
Melody and Marlene meet up for brunch. She says she's willing to do her part to mend the relationship that she has had with her ex-mother-in-law. And of course, in true Mel fashion, she shares some pleasantries because that's who Mel is. She want to be the bigger person. Now Mel says that it's been a long time since they had a conversation or had any type of communication.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted them to chat and figure out what happened and how they can move forward in a positive space. Apparently, there was a text conversation that Marlene had with Marcel that Mel didn't appreciate. She also felt like she said some negative things about her in the media and came for her character. So she said I did what I did, but I did what I do best, and I blocked it. Okay, she's blocked. Okay,
now blocked and blessed.
You said what? Blocked and blessed.
Blocked and blessed
from a distance.
From a distance.
Now, Melody asked her if she ever said anything negative about her. Marlene says no, that they were always good. The only issue that they had was that whole text situation. Mel says that anything that ignited negative thoughts and negative feelings, she really has to remove herself from, because she got to be the best she can be for her kids. And Marlene, she understood that. So she asked if Marcel ever came to her and said, like, that she wasn't doing anything, or apparently
lazy or anything.
Yeah, apparently, we know, because we saw the clip where Marlene said, oh, she gonna kill my boy, she working him to the bone, or whatever the hell she said.
Mm-hmm.
So she said if Marcel ever came to her and said that, she says no, but she's standing in her shit. She said that she's spoiled. And, she said, and she was being lazy. Now, if you can see the face that Melody was making, she was like, I'm just trying to be nice, you know. I just want to be nice. I want to respect my elders, but lady, Melody basically says that she ain't never been lazy. And she said, let the record show, oh, you know, in my marriage, I never had to do no laundry, never had to wash no dishes, cook no dinner. I didn't have to come up with no business ideas. You know, Miss Marlene was like, child, hush. Okay. She's like, girl, you was lazy. But it's okay. I said, Miss Marlene is standing in her shit. She don't give a damn. But she's like,
that's why I couldn't do it with Miss Marlene this episode. I was like, how dare you? And I mean, granted, she can only speak her truth to her experience, but I just feel like it's so disrespectful. And then for her to be like, well, I guess it is. I guess if I had all them kids, I would be like, you're not going
That's exactly what she said. If I had all them kids, I would be lazy too.
Insult me. And sit here on my dime because we know Miss Marlene didn't pay for
it. Oh my gosh, look, she was like, anytime you want to go out to eat, girl.
Right. Oh, you got me fucked up.
But Melody lets her know that she actually she said, this is hilarious because I actually had a conversation with your son about what you said. And he said that he remembered how she would say to both of them that, you know, they're doing too much and they need to sit down somewhere, basically saying that she's not lazy.
And Mel's point is that they've always supported each other when they needed it, because they were both busy, basically. And Miss Marlene is adamant that Mel was constantly bossing Marcel around and still feels that, you know, she was lazy, but let's move on. It's a new day.
It's a new day. So Mel says, since it's a new day, okay, she gonna go home, take her phone out and unblock her. Marlene said, you know, she was like, you can keep me blocked, girl. Just come on by and ring my doorbell. You know, you always welcome. Melody said, yeah, I definitely won't be doing that.
Do pull-ups. I don't do
I'm just going and unblock you. And Marlene says she ain't got no problem. You know, she said, you the mother of my kids. I always love you. And, you know, you've always been a sweet girl. And anytime you want to go out to eat, girl, I'm here.
I thought this was very interesting how she was like, oh, you're such a sweet girl. You can come on by anytime. And I said, it literally have in my notes. I wonder if she feels that same way about coleslaw. Does she let her come over and just have dinner and they go out? I'm just wondering what the relationship is.
Oh, girl, you touching on some shit, ain't you? You messy. You messy, girl. You messy.
I knew the assignment. So the couples are joining Dr. Francis for a game that he likes to call Heart to Heart. Okay. It's going to be a total flat out honesty, no matter the cost. He tells them if they're not going to be completely open and honest, to not get in the chair. And he says he hopes that they're at a point where there will be no more cover-ups, as he's looking directly at Tiffany and Louis, because you will not grow past that. Now, of course, as he's looking directly at Tiffany and Louis, he says, let's bring up the Whitlows. Whitlows, come on up. It's your time. And he tells it, and the price is not right. He brings up how, you know, he brought up the losses that she suffered in her life and her getting emotional. And Tiffany agrees she did because he was scratching at wounds she didn't know that she had. He asked her if she knows how present those wounds still are. Now, he says that he feels everyone is dealing with loss in some way. He asked Lewis how it makes him feel. And he says, no one likes loss. And Dr. Francis points out that he didn't say how he felt, which we all know Lewis has a bit of a disconnect when it comes to the emotional, or at least showing it being this open on this platform. So Lewis says he was upset, hurt, angry. He had moments where he isolated himself as far as when it comes to loss. But he said that's why you have people in your life to help you get through it. And he starts to get emotional. And Dr. Francis comes to comfort him with a pat on the back and lets him know for the first time he's seeing his humanity come through. He said the philosopher gave up and the humanity came through. I said, Dr. Francis still managed to be shady, even in therapy.
He is shady. That man is shady. I love it. I love Dr. Francis.
I love it.
I do. I love Dr. Francis.
He said it took all of this, but it's there. Now, Lewis says all of that is what drives him. So those things aren't missed. It's not misplaced or displaced. He said all those things make him who he is. So when people say it's a game, he takes it personally, y'all. I'm upset.
Well, then remember that you're playing the game, sir.
Right. So he says in confessional that what he shows on the outside is not who he is, and he feels like Dr. Francis misjudged him. Tiffany adds, just because we're not doing what Dr. Francis wants us to do, how he wants us to do it, doesn't mean they're fake. And you know what? This is never, you know how they say you have to be open to therapy, just like people have to be open to rehab. People have to be, if you are not open to something, you can't make nobody do nothing. And unfortunately, this is exactly what we're seeing. They're not open at this point in their marriage to digging deeper. They think they have all the answers and they're great. So you can't tell them nothing.
Well, then he turns his attention to Tisha,
right?
Because she recently had a loss, and she says her best friend from college just passed away suddenly. Apparently, she went out to celebrate her birthday, and the next day she went into her daughter's bedroom and collapsed.
Yeah.
What?
And apparently she just had a baby. She
said 2 months. She said she has a 2-month-old and a 3-year-old.
And a 3-year-old.
You know, her 5-year wedding anniversary was coming up. Marcel says that they had a beautiful marriage and a man should aim to love a woman that much. Maurice says he even cried about his wife and daughters at his bachelor party. And we saw in a clip the husband. And he says that it makes you realize how fragile life really is. Marlo says that's why this retreat is so important. You got to take time out for your loved ones. Dr. Francis says life isn't certain, and that's an undisputable fact.
So Martel is in his office while Marlene comes down to have a conversation with him. He's looking over orders for his wine and says everyone wants to buy it. And so he has to increase his productivity.
Nobody just received it.
Because that Sutter home hits, I know. Anyway, so not yours though. I don't do the sweetbreads. But you know, he's happy that, you know, it's been on the market. After a little or he's been able to get it on the market only after working on it a little over a year because it was a rush project. Anyway, he asked her how everything is going and she just tells him all is good on her end. He brings up how things are moving in the right direction as far as co-parenting with Mel. Marlene talks about it's all about respect. And if you don't have that, you don't have anything. And Marlene brings up breakfast with Mel and says she really enjoyed it. And they talked about the text messages, and Martel is actually surprised because he felt like the text messages were super disrespectful. But Marlene says that, you know, a woman, as a woman and a mother, she understands Mel was hurt. She says, but you know, you have to grow into a woman and you can say you're a woman, but you have to show what kind of woman you are. I said, okay, Marlene, here we go. Preach. It's giving real preachy. She says that she will always consider Mel like a daughter. That's the mother of her grandbabies. Martel is happy that he feels Mel is growing and letting things go. For a second until you do something to piss her off, because that's what you do. Now, Louis and Tiffany, they are back in their room discussing the day's exercises. She tells him she thinks he's a tough guy and it's easier for him to cover things up so he doesn't have to deal with them head on. She says she thinks his fears of loss may come from wishing he was closer to his dad and his feelings towards his kids. He says he feels he and his father had a good relationship. But what I got from it is I guess his dad spent a lot of time outside the home working to provide.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
So he wasn't able to be there for extracurricular activities and that nature. And I think sometimes, again, we fall into this role where we think men just assume all I need to do is provide. And so they think that's all they have to be responsible for. They don't have to go to the football games and the practices and case maybe. But he's not taking away. He obviously had a good relationship and still loves his father, but he's battling with that emotion. And he talks about how, basically for Tiffany, her always being busy, it's a major factor for him.
What I like though is he said that he did express it to his father, and he noticed a change.
He started showing up and coming.
He started showing up for everything that he could, and yes, it does. It does. It's hitting hard for him. For Tiffany, because she doesn't want to fall into that, but that's actually what's really actually going on. And the problem is he's expressed it to her, but she's not making any changes.
And you know what, I was talking to somebody today, and we were talking about that, and but prime example, she rolled up on him and she hit him with a "marry me now" in the middle of a ballpark. It's just, she wants a baby, and he's adamant about, you don't give me enough attention, time, sex already, but yet now he's sitting at a table in front of other people actually talking about doing it again. It gives me, he's going to do whatever he has to do to keep her, even if it's hurt himself, and that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what Dr. Francis is uncovering, and they don't like that. And she definitely doesn't like that because
she knows it. She recognizes it. It's not like she's oblivious to it. She knows that he's going to do whatever she wants.
Right. And
this is what I mean. This relationship, he may have more money than her last husband, but to me, when she explains them both, they sound the same.
Yeah.
Dr. Francis comes in to get Tisha and Marcel and says that he feels Tisha's in a place where she's ready to make the move of merging and blending in a way that's going to be beneficial to them. But Marcel is the one that's going to need some help.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Francis asked them how they think these last few days have been going, and Marcel says, honestly, he feels that they've been insightful. Dr. Francis says because he keeps it light does not mean it's not important. Marcel was like, hold up, you had Lewis crying. You think this is light?
Right.
Like, damn, I don't want to see what heavy. How much heavier can it get?
Okay.
Marcel explains that they've been sure of their marriage up until the last 3 or 4 years, and then says it's not really that they're unsure. It's more like outside forces, and felt like they were doing something wrong. But he says they kept on doing it because it feels right in their marriage. And, their marriage is exactly the same. He feels there's constant feedback from everyone critiquing their marriage. Tisha feels like God gave her this husband for a reason, and it's okay to be obedient or submissive, and feels that she needs to stop listening to outside forces and trust the man that God has blessed her with.
And I love what Dr. Francis said.
Now, Marcel says that he doesn't make decisions unilaterally. He always discusses with his wife first. He never discounts her as an individual. And if he did, he wouldn't have married her. Dr. Francis says one mistake people make is to argue the truth when the truth stands by itself. But you know what, though? He said that, and I get where he was coming from, like kind of coming at Marcel with that. But if you realize all these past seasons, Marcel has always lived by that. I'm not about to argue with you. I know the truth. I'm not about to explain nothing to you. I know the truth. I know what the truth is. My wife knows what the truth is. So I'm not about to go back and forth with you or express to you or explain to you. So I get where Dr. Francis was coming from with that, because right now, Marcel was trying to plead his case.
Mm-hmm.
But in past seasons, Marcel really has always lived by that. I'm not about to remember her mom, everybody. Oh, well, why this? I know the truth. We know the truth. I'm not about to prove nothing to you.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And nothing gonna come out because I know what the truth is. My wife know what the truth is. So I mean, really, it applied in this situation, but really Marcel has always lived by that.
Then he goes and attacks Maurice and Kimmy.
Not attacks.
I'm sorry. He just went one by one.
I did say he interrupted their meal.
So he comes to join them for dinner. Maurice said that originally he was apprehensive about coming and how he tried to proposition Kimmy to reward him with sex every day for coming on the retreat.
Twice a day.
Twice a day. Now, Maurice says he doesn't see an issue with him wanting sex from his wife every day. He doesn't think that either partner should be able to object to sex in a marriage. Kimmy talks about how she told Maurice when they were dating, she wasn't cleaning up a five-bedroom house.
Well, first, Dr. Francis kind of got in his ass.
Oh, yes, right.
And he says, have you considered that a woman has the right to have the right over her own body?
Correct.
And Maurice says that, he agrees, but really, the question, I guess, at hand is how much sex is excessive? And that's the problem. So, yeah, really the issue, it sounds like Kimmy is basically saying that when they were dating, it was just her and one child she had to be responsible for. Now she's responsible for cleaning the house and taking care of a whole bunch of men.
And no, I love what she said about Maurice. Also is a person that doesn't believe in helping. So he doesn't believe in washing a dish or taking the trash out. He likes to lay in the bed after they have sex and just lay up. Where
play the game while she got to get up and go
say it, I'm a Kimmy. I got shit to do. Let me go put these clothes in the washing machine and da-da-da. Not that it won't good, but I got shit to do. I can't sit up here and just lay up like it's.
But that's why she's saying she doesn't have time to have sex every day or all day because she has things to do to make the house function.
Right.
She can't just lay it with you all day, especially if you ain't gonna help.
Well, then I think, what was it? Dr. Francis questions, well, if things need to be done and you're the only one doing them, why don't you have sex after everything? After everything is done and you've gotten help. And she tells Dr. Francis, you're preaching to the choir. Mm-hmm. Okay. She said, I'm not the one with that particular issue. I said, woo. She said, Maurice is, well, we all know he wants to sit and watch the TV and not do shit. And Dr. Francis says he sees a lot of this where the man wants to be sexually fulfilled. And when she has to do that to satisfy him, it's putting herself out of her own self-interest in wanting to have sex. So he says that, they need to talk and realize sex is not supposed to be something you do with each other just to do it. It's the sharing of oneself in a specific way. And I said, that's Dr. Francis. Give it to us. Tell it.
And you know what? Honestly, if she's the only one doing anything in the house, cooking, cleaning, and you know what I mean? She probably can't even enjoy really having sex because she's thinking about all the 1,001 things she has to do when she's done.
Right. That's why I said now Dr. Francis tells Maurice, because of Kimmy's active responsibility, it takes time away that she may have for him. So he encourages Maurice to do more with her. And the more he will embrace her as a person and not just a partner to have sex with.
Talking about a word.
Well, Dr. Francis gave y'all a word today.
Yes, he did. Don't he always do?
Yeah, he do. Well, thank you guys.
Yes, thank you.
For tuning into our review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Please make sure, if you have not already, that you have hit the like button.
You comment.
You subscribe.
And you hit the notification bell.
And please make sure you're following us on all of the platforms that are the TikTok, the Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram. Please make sure we appreciate all monetary donations to the channel so we can get new cameras, new shit, all that fun stuff. The Cashapp is down below. But what's
the price? Look, the price is right hand.
Right. But what we appreciate even more than that is the likes and the subscribes more than anything. We love to see our community growing, Shade Squad. So please share us with your friends, share us with your family, share us with people you don't even like. Why not?
If you got a shady message for them, have them tune in.
A view is a view. But we appreciate y'all. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you. Well, we as you know, we are celebrating the birthday girl this weekend. So your Love and Marriage Huntsville review might not come out to like Tuesday of next week. Feel me? But it's Thursday now, so y'all used to this by now. But we're gonna get better, I promise. But yes, we're celebrating the birthday girl. Once we're done, we'll be back on a normal schedule and be normal again. So thank you guys for sticking through it with us. Thank you for your patience. We love you. Catch you next week.
Mwah. Good night.
Front, back, side to side. Make sure you go like and subscribe. Front, back, side to side. Make sure you go like and subscribe.